What's going on, awesome people? My name is Iman Hushman, and I'd like to welcome you to another episode of Awesome People. If you're not familiar with Awesome People, it's basically my opportunity to have some virtual chit chats with, well, you guessed right, the most awesome people that I know. And for the most part, 99% of the time, it's awesome Iranians. We have so many great Iranians all around the world that are doing so many great things in all aspects of careers, backgrounds, etc. And tonight's guest is no exception to that. Her name is actually Sayeh Tavangar, a dear friend of more than 10 years, full of energy, all smiles, hardworking. I could not even figure out how to give a little short bio of her because she's so talented in so many different aspects. I was like, you know what? Screw it. I'm going to have her give her a little background on her own story, but you're going to love all the different things that she's been doing. And you're definitely going to love all the awesome things that she's got going on right now, which includes a pretty cool show on Hulu. So a lot of things going on in the world of Sayeh Tavangar that I cannot wait to share. But before that, I would be remiss if I don't start off by mentioning the commemorative day that we as Iranians experience. I can't say celebrated, but we experienced this past Saturday was the 1 year anniversary of the unjustly murder of Jina Masa Amini. And wherever you were in the world, you were probably close to some kind of gathering or protest or something happening honoring her and also honoring the more than 500 souls that we've lost during this revolution and the more than 20,000 people that are still in horrific situations in the jails of Iran. So I hope that you were all able to, go somewhere. You were able to have a safe space to be amongst other Iranians and other people that are fighting for a free and secular Iran. I want to thank those that showed up in South Beach. We had an amazing vigil. Even a rain and a storm wasn't going to come between the South Florida Iranian community that came together. Even though there was a storm, we ended up having a very amazing sunset with incredible views. And I want to give a shout out to Mona Hairi and Sarah Kazemi, who did so much work to make this all happen. So thankful for them. Speaking of upcoming events, please do not forget that if you're in South Florida, Exclusive Entertainment and Platform, we're presenting Barefoot in the Garden on Tuesday, September 26th. It's a great opportunity for South Florida community to come together, networking, great food, great drinks, great music, an opportunity to really connect with like-minded individuals and a very unique, beautiful experience in our enchanted garden. So be sure to check it out if you don't know what I'm talking about. Link in the bio. Barefoot in the Garden, barefoot vibes, but shoes required. Let me see if Sayeh is here. Sayeh, please make sure to request to join so I can bring you on. So until Sayeh joins us, there she is, I think. Perfect, here we go. Without any further ado, ladies and gentlemen. Talented, they're always smiling. Sayeh Tavangar. And in her side of okay, I'm going to have a glass of wine. Hi, Sayeh, how
Hello.
are you?
How are you? I should have had my glass of wine had I known.
I
I'm having club soda.
club soda. Come on, Sayed. I was really expecting wine from you.
I know I should have known better.
Great to have you on. Thank you so much for making time.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I'm super excited to be featured in your amazing podcast of awesome people, to be considered an awesome person.
Yeah,
It's a privilege. Thank you.
hi, Sean, please. It's all my pleasure. And besides all the professional accolades and all the talents that you have, I'm somebody that's really gravitates towards great energy, and you have the one of the best energies ever. Like every time that I just talk to you or see you, whatever, it's just so much full of love and
Thank you.
smiles and kindness, and everything that you do, it revolves around bringing people together, bringing them happiness, and you're doing it through
Yes.
food and all this different stuff. So we're going to talk about all of these things that make you an awesome human being. So, Sayejun, I was telling everybody that it just all the great things you've done is just too much for me to even say
Mm.
in 1 or 2 minutes. I wouldn't be doing it
You're
any
too kind.
justice. But go ahead and give a little, for those who have no idea who Sayeh is, give a
Okay.
little bit of background of where you were from and how you got into the world of journalism, and then we'll slowly get to
Sure.
all the fun culinary stuff too.
No, of course. So I, like many of my fellow Iranians here in the US, I am an immigrant here. I moved to the US in 1990, but I grew up in Germany, which is another thing we have in
That's
common.
right. That's
We
right.
both liebe
Sehr
Deutschland. Ich
viel.
liebe sehr, sehr Deutschland. Yes. I
Yeah.
always consider Germany is always very dear to my heart because that's where we got political refugees from Iran. And as you know, I mean, a lot of Iranians after the war, after the revolution, that spread out throughout the world, just like today, Germany was the country that's taken the most refugees, my family being one of them. So we immigrated to Germany in '86 from Iran. I was just a little kid. I was about 4 years old. And we moved to Germany and kind of just waited for our moment to the United States. You know, like a lot of other Iranians, we kind of had a layover in Germany. So when I
Mine was
finally moved,
10 years, but yes.
yes, exactly. So when I moved to the U.S., I actually moved to New York City because my aunt had, she had, what they call sponsored us in order to come to the United States. And I was just a little girl, but that's really before even my career in journalism, kind of my curiosity and love for food really started. For all the foodies out there that have joined, one of the landmark French restaurants that actually started French cuisine in the US and kind of made it really sexy was La Cirque in New York City. And my aunt's husband was one of the partners that started La Cirque.
Wow.
So I remember, being brand new in the US, didn't speak the language, and I went to the kitchen of La Cirque. And it was the first time in my life, first of all, I saw men in the kitchen. And I was blown away of these men and their long hats and these chefs, and they were really mean and they were all speaking French. And just like what we hear and what we even see in like cartoons like Ratatouille, they were literally throwing pots and pans around. And so, I mean, right then I became so curious about food. But when it came a degree in school, what I really, really wanted to do was go to culinary school in France. I mean, that was just a dream of mine. And I remember telling my dad, I was like, Dad, I want to go to culinary school. He's like, I brought you to America to be a cook? And he was like over my dead body. And this is way before chefs started becoming very, sexy, having TV shows, before Food Network, before all these cooking channels and lending your names to, big way before them.
Yeah.
So in my father's eye, that I lost so much coming over to the US. I mean, they lost everything to restart. For me to go and pursue a career in food was like impossible. And at the same time, my parents had restaurants at that time, and that's kind of how they made it in the U.S. by opening up restaurants. So that's not what my father wanted for me. So he said, absolutely not. So I said, okay. So I enrolled in undergrad, University of Pittsburgh, and I was still I wasn't sure really what I wanted to pursue. And this is where it really comes important for young people to have mentors, because I had this wonderful, wonderful mentor, and he told me, I remember this one conversation I had with him. He's like, you have to pursue a degree in journalism. And I was like, why? He was like, this is your path. And that's all it took. It took,
But based on what? What was it he saw in
he
you?
said, he was one of my history professors, and he said, you're so knowledgeable and you're so curious about what's happening around the world. And while being a freshman at the University of Pittsburgh, while others were, partying, going out, I was a very, very quiet student, and I kind of kept to myself, and I was a little more on the serious side,
You were a quiet
complete
student?
opposite of now. I was super, and I was very shy and kind of very
Uh,
quiet.
uh,
But when it came to talking about history and politics, I kind of just lit up because I felt like I was knowledgeable about it. I could hold my own. I could speak. I was very passionate about Middle Eastern politics, Middle Eastern history. So he's like, you would do wonderful in a career in journalism, and that's all it took.
Amazing.
I, I put my degree in journalism, and I got my first job working at a local TV station in Pittsburgh. And after that, I said, okay, I kind of wanted to keep going with my education. And it was mostly because I didn't kind of like working in local television. So I said, let me just buy myself some time and pursue a master's degree in journalism. And that led me to my first job working at Reuters News. And kind of it took one story. I covered energy commodities, and energy commodities, anything related to energy. So my beat was, and that was oil and gas, which was very interesting to me because oil and gas always has a foreign policy angle to it. So
Yeah,
I
Iran,
really
Iran
enjoyed
is
that.
always somewhere connected
Always,
in that.
yes, yes. I mean, so much around the world wars happened because of energy, because of oil and gas specifically. So that kind of just became my niche. And I did that for Reuters, for CBS News, for RT America. And I actually also did a stint. I did a short period of time right at the beginning of my career at a Persian network.
Which one?
It lasted a very short time. It was called Win TV. And I worked with Mr. Baharlu.
Oh wow, that's right. Oh,
Wonderful,
Ahmed Baradou. He's a great
wonderful,
dude. I love that man. He's
wonderful,
great. He used
wonderful
to be a
man.
Voice of America for the
Yes.
longest time. He's a
Yes,
legend. He's a legend.
yes, he really, I mean, he's just truly, you said it perfectly, a legend. So I did their English language headline news. So that kind of just always led me from one network to another. And I love I covered OPEC for a very, very long time. And, a lot of young people that are pursuing degrees in journalism, my advice to them is really seek out a niche. Seeking out a niche in journalism is really, really how you can excel and how you can become really, really successful. Because, I mean, these days, anybody that has a smartphone is considered a journalist, right? You have a phone, you reporting from here. But in order to really do serious news and also become indispensable is really, really pursue a degree and have a niche.
Let me ask you, Sarjan, because I remember watching you on TV and you were truly very knowledgeable. You were very confident what you were talking about. How much passion did you have? Like, would you say that you were very good at it, or you really were passionate about it? And then on the side, you were also interested in the culinary stuff, and it was like brewing inside of you. Like, was it like a tug of war, or were you truly
No,
equally passionate about both things?
I was really now in my more wiser years and being really honest to myself of what I really enjoyed. I really, really enjoyed being on the camera part.
Yeah.
That's really where I would just come out of my shell. And that's really where I would blossom, having the one-on-one conversation with guests or doing interviews. And then I realized I just really enjoy being on television. That's just what I really like doing. And kind of working in energy commodities took its toll on me. So on the side, what I used to do is I used to do catering. And one of which I did one of your wonderful,
Of
wonderful
course.
events.
My 20-year anniversary gala, exclusively
Yes,
entertainment. And I'm
exactly.
forever grateful. Behind the building of the Bellevue, you had the pots going. I don't know how the hell we pulled it off, but you did incredible, and everybody was
Yes.
raving about the food.
How many guests showed up? How many people were
Like
there?
four,
So
500, I
four or
think.
500 for just to give your viewers some background information. I showed up that morning and they said we don't have any stoves. And I said, what do you mean you don't have any stoves?
And this
How
is
am I supposed to cook for
like a $10
400,
million
500 people?
venue, too, by the
Yes.
way. It's like,
So exactly, I cooked in the parking lot in like it was like one of those plugging stoves for about 400 or 500 people.
hilarious. It was hilarious, but it was one of the best parts of the
It
program.
was.
Yeah. So.
It was wonderful. So, I used to do a lot of these wonderful food events, but they weren't part of my career. Number one, I never made money for them. And number two, it was just always something you do on the side. They say if you really want to excel at something, you really have to dedicate yourself fully to it. And I really hadn't, because obviously I had my own career. I had a career in news, but it was just something I loved doing. I mean, I loved creating. I loved teaching my friends how to cook, and I absolutely love hosting. So the first company I created, as you remember, was the Exquisite Host.
Exquisite host. Yeah.
Yes, so I was known as the Exquisite Host. And then, finally, right after the pandemic. And so I did a switch in my career during the pandemic. They realized that the network I worked for, they really had a shortage of reporters, because a lot of the reporters, they have family, they had children, and they really couldn't travel at all because of COVID, obviously. And I was one of the only few reporters that was single, no children, no husband. So they asked me if I could travel and cover COVID. So it really took a toll on me for the whole year. I mean, I remember the whole world being shut down, and I worked 7 days a week. I was flying out in, I was reporting from every hospital in the US of the number of deaths every single day. It was death. And, it was just a horrible time, and of course, in our history. But it just really took a toll on me. And I just decided, you know what, I'm just going to really pursue what I truly love and enjoy, which is something related to food. And right at that time, I just quit my job, and I said, you know what, I'm just going to quit. I'm just going to decide what's next for me. And I went to France, and I started cooking in Julia Child's house in the south of France, in Provence. And that's really where Julia Childs, that's where she got her passion for cooking. I've had so much in
What do you
common.
mean, like her house? Like when you say
So
her house?
Julia Child for 25 years. For anybody that doesn't know who Julia Child is, she's a pioneer. She's the first woman to have a cooking show. She's the one that brought the cookbook, The Art of French Cooking, to the U.S. She pretty much brought French cuisine to the U.S. in terms of recipes. So the home where all her love, she wrote all her recipes, where she worked with Simon Beck, which was her partner in co-writing The Art of French Cooking, is in the south of France, in Provence. And I went to her home, and I started learning how to cook French cuisine.
So like it was
And
like she was there
oh
too?
no, she's deceased many
Oh,
years.
I'm so
Yes,
confused.
her
Okay,
home.
so
So her home now is a cooking school.
that's incredible.
Yeah, so I enrolled in her cooking school, and I got to
Clearly, I
start.
don't cook, by the way. The fact
Yeah,
that I didn't know that this legend had passed away. So
yes.
here's me looking like an idiot. Edit this
So
out.
no,
Okay.
it's all good. If you're not in the food world, you wouldn't know. And Julia Childs was her closest friend was James Beard of the James Beard
Right.
Award. So I stayed in his
Uh,
bedroom. So that's where I stayed. And when I was there, we did a whole show of Julia Child's life and this cooking school on HBO. It's called La Pitchoune. La Pitchoune is the name of our home in south of France, and it's called La Pitchoune, Cooking in France. So I got to be a part of that really amazing show on HBO, which everybody should see, and not just because I'm part of it, but because it's just unbelievable. And you really get to see where the French get their love for cooking and the wonderful ingredients you find in France. So that just really assured me, and I said, you know what? That's it. I'm going to go back to DC, and I'm going to open up a cooking school. So, when they say you kind of take a path, and the universe really wants you to take that path, kind of other doors open for you. And I got a phone call from Food Network's Chopped, and kind of just rewind a little bit back. I kind of have a relationship with the Food Network because I had done a earlier show with them. I did a show when I was doing when I was working in news. Food Network has a show. It's called Cook versus Cons, where look at this. I was just delivered a glass of wine.
Nice. Hey,
It has my
Salamaki.
name on it. Here
Thank
you go.
you very
Cheers.
much.
Let's take a sip of this.
Good. I don't look that bad drinking alone anymore.
There you
Fantastic.
go. Well, you are drinking. Let me see your cup.
It's a
Let me
smaller
see.
cup, plastic cup. You got a classy glass. I got a plastic glass.
Well, cheers.
Salamaki.
So they
And cheers
asked,
to the person that brought you the wine too.
cheers. it's hand delivered. So what happened was they asked me to compete with 3 professional chefs, and it was called Cooks versus Cons. And the judges had to decide based on the food who was the professional chef and who was the con. Well, I beat out 3 professional chefs on the show. So that was the first competition I entered on
Can I
Food
pause
Network.
right there?
Yes.
So when I watched that episode, this is like probably 6 years ago,
Yes.
I think.
Yes.
It was on my DVR, and I swear I would not delete it because first of all, I wanted to watch with my parents because my parents love you, and then I was like every Iranian, I wanted to keep on showing that episode. That's my friend Sayeh, so it was on my DVR for like 2-3 years. But yeah, it was an awesome episode where you kicked
It was
ass.
a lot of fun.
Yeah, because nobody guessed that you were the actual
Yeah, nobody guessed that
con.
I was the con.
Yeah.
Exactly. So I enjoyed doing that show so much.
And you
And
actually, if you don't mind, I think you actually made like a Persian dish.
I did. I made
Dolme.
dolme. Yeah. So
Yeah.
the big surprise was that we had to do something and make some sort of burrito type. So I said, well, dolme is like a
I never
burrito.
thought of
Burrito
dolme
is
burrito,
like,
but if you
so
enlarge it,
I
I
was
guess
like dolme. Yes. So I made stuffed dolme and I won, which was amazing. And so I kind of kept that relationship with the Food Network. And then Food Network saw me on HBO and they were like, oh my God, we're doing a Julia Childs episode on Chopped. Can you come on? So I was like, absolutely. And which is actually going to be aired next month, mid-October.
Nice.
And so I competed on Chopped, which was such a wonderful, wonderful experience. And so these were all kind of reassurance to myself. And I was like, okay, food is really where I'm meant to be. And I started the cooking school here at DC Cooking School. And it's a recreational cooking school. And what makes it so amazing is that it's inside a renovated church. So it's so special. It's in a wonderful, wonderful space. I mean, the vibe is just incredible. Kind of had this great idea of having a supper club, kind of a invitation only weekly supper club, kind of like the Last Supper, long table, but make it courses. And right that moment, I realized, wait, I live in DC. It's one of the outside the church here, there's like 5 stores. Anybody could just open up a cannabis store. I was like, why don't I make this a cannabis supper club? So that's kind of where Caviar and Ganja was born. And then while I was doing the Caviar and Ganja supper club, another idea came to me. All these lights just lit up. And he said, why don't I do a...
I think you were having some ganja, but
Yeah,
those
well,
lights lit up.
they say the best ideas are the best ideas are made when you're having a little ganja. And I was definitely having some ganja. And I said, why don't I create a cannabis pantry line? And there's nothing out there like it. It's all organic. It's like ghee, olive oil, cold pressed olive oil from Greece, butter, coconut oil, sugar, salt, spices. It's all pantry items, all organic, and they're all made with cannabis. They don't have any taste, they don't have any smell, because as a chef, I didn't want something that takes away from the food. And I kind of learned that in my first supper club. I was making my own butters from cannabis. And during the supper club, it's very, very refined French cuisine. So it was really taking away from the flavor, which I didn't want. So I started thinking, how can I incorporate cannabis and at the same time not take away from the flavor of the food, which is how this line was got started. And then kind of, I don't even know how the word hasn't gotten around, but it's almost like just the one right person heard about it, because Caviar and Ganja is going to be featured on Shark Tank. We're going to be the first cannabis line, so we'll see. And we'll see kind of how that goes, but that's not going to be for a while.
When is that coming out?
That's not going to be for a while. Filming is not going to be for another like 3-4 months.
Amazing.
So,
Okay.
I'm really excited
And so,
about
and
that. Just to kind of,
so right now the supper club is like, it's like you have set dates and you got to sign
I
up
have
for it.
set dates, yes. So we have a couple of nights per month for the supper club and the DC cooking school. We have daily cooking classes, recreational cooking classes, Persian, Thai, Japanese, French, pasta. I mean, you name it. We have one working with a wonderful group of chefs.
So how
We have
many
a pizza
people, like,
practice.
when, like, how many, let's say I want to come over there, what do I expect? How many people are there? Or do I bring my own group and then you close it off? Or
No, so
it's,
it's just open to the public. It's smaller groups. It's so on the first floor, first floor of the church, the cooking classes are maximum 12 people. So you could come there on a date night with your significant other, and there'll be other people here. Or
okay.
if you want to do private events, you'll book out the whole 12 seats. And then what makes it really amazing is that after you spend hours cooking with either the strangers or your own friends or a mix of both, there's a beautiful table set with like candlelight, and then you kind of go enjoy the food. And I wanted to kind of do that, have a sense of community where people come, meet new friends, where, or you could just come with your own group and you know, give DC something really more special, something different to do. And the supper club is also is up to 12 people, so it's a small group. And again, you could either come solo. We love solo diners. You could come as a couple, girls' night, guys' night. Just I mean any ratio, as long as the maximum is 12. Or on the third floor, we do really really bigger parties. And
Tell us a little bit more about the third floor.
oh, the third floor of the church is so fascinating. For anybody, they should really go to the supper club Instagram, which is Caviar and Ganja, and you'll kind of see the pictures of the third floor of this church, which is just phenomenal. I mean, I was so lucky to get this church. Historically, this church is the first new African American church of DC in the 17th and 18th century, and it sat vacant for many, many years. And we're the first people that have ever lived here. It's completely renovated. So from the outside, it's a church. Every time I have new people come in, they're kind of, they have no idea where they're going because they're like, this address doesn't exist. They only see a church. They walk by. I'm like, no, it's the church. So the third floor is, it's a private venue space. So event rentals, we do weddings, birthdays, I mean, any kind of event up to 70, 80 people. So the third floor. And I also do my big, either supper club or the cooking classes on the third floor, like for minimum 30, 40 people, which I've done for a lot of corporate clients. So, which is just unbelievable. And then the second floor of the church is an overnight stay, which a lot of the couples that come from out of town in order to go to the supper club, they don't want to have to drive back because of all the cannabis they consume. So they rent out the second floor and they stay overnight. And we do like a whole bed and breakfast.
That's
So it's
incredible.
wonderful.
So, so,
It's,
so the second floor is just for like two people. It's like a one
no,
bedroom.
it fits up to 6 people. It's humongous.
Amazing.
It's
So it's basically like you go to church for the weekend. Like,
exactly.
yeah, you can do all
The
your
kind of,
sins.
yes.
You can do all of your sins and forgiveness
Yes,
and satisfy your thirst and
exactly,
all in one. Oh
exactly. So
man.
this is the kind of church you go in, and sins are actually they're accepted. Not only
Sure.
accepted, they're it's very forgiving church.
I
Yes,
have a feeling that if in the 1800s somebody said that in 2023 this same church is
yeah,
going to have all of this happening, they, they would be rolling in their graves at this point. But I feel like it's
exactly,
amazing. This is
exactly.
great. So tell me right now, like, what is your the most first of all, I think it's amazing how pretty much the evolution of your career has all now come to this. Like the
Mhm.
fact that you've been so experienced in front of the camera doing the journalism, and then now like having all these experiences in front of the TV for all these cooking shows. Now you're coming over here, and I'm sure that you're kind of using social media to create a lot more content to attract more people. And I have a feeling that eventually you're gonna have your own cooking show uh,
Mhm.
out of this space. Is that in the work? You've been talking about it
It
for
is,
years.
it is in the works. So, you know, I'm a lot of people they give me a name that I'm a true hustler. So when I say I'm a hustler, it has very good terms and kind of definition to it. Is that when I want something, I really go after it. And I really, my dream was always to have a cooking show.
You should.
And I was kind of late to the game of the YouTubers, of doing the whole cooking show and kind of being picked up. And I wasn't that big on in social media to just with my cooking. So I said, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to produce a whole season of a cooking series, and I'm going to fund it myself. And I'm just going to shop around and see if I could sell this to a network. And everybody thought I was crazy. And I put a lot of my savings into it. And I did the cooking show, and I did like a whole one season. And being in the TV world, I kind of knew how many episodes, the time frame, the kind of format that I had to do in order to be able to sell it. So I was able to sell it to Hulu.
That's what I was waiting
So,
for you to
which
share.
is,
Yeah.
yes. So a cooking show in Hulu is coming up. So what they do is when they purchase your show, is they get the right of naming it. It's basically, it's there. It's the show is there. So their producers then get to decide if they're going to edit it anymore, if they what they're going to be naming it. So as of now, they've sent me, the producers, a couple of name ideas that they're thinking of actually naming it once it airs on Hulu. But it's been in the works. It's been pushed in the pipeline now. I think for 2-3 years I've been waiting for this to
Oh,
come out.
so you filmed this during the pandemic?
Yes, I filmed this during the pandemic.
Where did you film it?
I filmed it. I got a commercial kitchen just to film it.
Tell us about that experience. What did you learn from it? What advice do you have for other people that are trying to take this type of leap of faith?
Sure. It's I did a lot of research of because my really what I wanted to do, I wanted to skip the whole social media aspect of it. And when I say social media is in terms of like Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, of constantly putting these cooking shows. I wanted to somehow just be able to take this right into the networks. So I did a lot of research in terms of like the format type, the time-wise, how each episode has to be. And it's not really for everybody, because you have to put a lot of your own money into it yourself. It's something you have to fund yourself, and you would never ever make it anywhere. And then you kind of you have to pitch it to network after network after network, and you really have to be able to get a lot of rejection and be okay with rejection. And I am great with rejection. So I said, you know what, I'm really going to do this. I had having contacts with some producers. They told me exactly how short the format needs to be for every episode. Every cooking episode we had to do, it was supposed to be 7 minutes, which is really difficult to do. And I funded it. I hired a wonderful production team. I rented a commercial kitchen in DC, all knowing that this might just never ever go anywhere. This might just, it might just be something where I just spend a lot of money on.
What style was it? Like, was it just you teaching people about certain items?
Yeah, so what I really wanted to do is that in terms of chefs or even TV personalities having shows on any network, there's nothing on Persian food. There is nothing. There is everything. There is, in terms of Middle Eastern, there's Lebanese, there's Syrian, there's Afghani, there's Pakistani, there's tons and tons of like Middle Eastern, Asian, Indian cuisine. And I said, what's really missing is Persian cuisine. How come there's no chef has a show either on the Food Network or even on Netflix? There's all these food channels, or even, why isn't there any? I just couldn't understand why. And what I really wanted to do is teach people Persian cuisine, but very refined formats, because that's how I cook. My passion and the style of cooking that I love to do is French cuisine. And I love Persian food. So what I really wanted to introduce to the audience is refined Persian cuisine, which has just recently really taken off with our very own June restaurant here in Tyson. There's the wonderful Sofre in Brooklyn by the super talented chef Nassim. So they kind of were also they were introducing refined Persian cuisine in restaurants.
I have a stupid question. What do you mean by refined here?
when I say refined, is not a plate full of just rice and kebabs, which is wonderful,
I see.
but very smaller,
Like tapas
chic,
style.
not tapas style. Kind of think of like French cuisine, where it's plated beautifully, where it's smaller portions but beautifully done.
Oh,
Um,
beautiful but not fulfilling.
no, no, definitely fulfilling. Definitely
I'm
fulfilling.
just joking.
Well, I tell you, it's not for like our parents' generation, because
Yeah.
they want big
Cholo
portions.
kebab.
Yeah, they want churkava, they want the so tiny, big, they want like 8 pounds of rice.
I
So
got you.
that's not something I wanted to do. I really, I was thinking of the new generation of Persian Americans. I said, they want to learn how to do Persian food, but they don't want to do big family style like our parents, which is wonderful. I mean, what's better than eating at our parents, right? Family style. But at the same time, I feel like the new generation wants to do a little bit things differently, right? They want to make things more beautiful. They want to post everything. They want to take pictures of their food. So they want that beautiful kind of cuisine where they could show it off a little bit different. So that's really what I wanted to do, and not make it so time consuming, right? Like my mom does gourmet sabzi. It takes her like 4 hours. When I do my gourmet sabzi, I swear it tastes, she will kill me, but it tastes just the same, if not better. And I do it in like 30
Kheli
minutes.
Podri. Kheli Podri. How dare you?
Because we want to be able to do things quicker, right? We want to do things much quicker. And so I picked these wonderful Persian dishes, and I really refined them. I made them a lot more approachable, a lot more beautiful. And that's kind of what my series is based on. It's very approachable Persian cuisine, really for the new generation, for just presenting something different. And right now there's so much curiosity about Iran specifically, and unfortunately not for good reasons, given the horrible situation our country is in. But when there is a curiosity out there, is a really good opportunity to seize that moment and also introduce other wonderful aspects of our culture into it. One of it being our
I,
food.
I want to put you on the spot for a couple of things. First of all, what you're doing is you're representing or presenting our culture in a beautiful way. So we appreciate all that you're doing. Now putting you on the spot. First of all, a cookbook is in the works, right? I mean, I feel like it's
Oh,
inevitable.
that would be, yes. I mean, that would be a dream.
Yes, I feel like you should go ahead and start working on the prelude, the preface, the beginning. Just start thinking about it, because in 3 to 5 years, there's a Sayeh Tavangar book in the
The
making.
craziest thing happened right right before the pandemic. I got this crazy deal in order to do so a big publishing company said they would fund this cookbook for me if I go to Iran and I do a cookbook on Iran street food,
And
which
the problem being that you wouldn't be
I could
caught dead
never
going to
go
Iran.
to Iran because I would go airport Evin.
Yes, well, we're gonna have a free Iran very
I
soon, hopefully. So that,
hope so.
but
Yes.
I would keep that email unread and refer to it in a little bit.
Yeah.
That seems like a great offer. So putting you on the spot here. First of all, the favorite Persian dish that you love to make and that you love to eat.
Persian, my favorite Persian that I like to make is fesenjoon, and it's one of the dishes that I create that is so beautifully refined, because aesthetic wise, if you look at fesenjoon, it's not so appealing. It has like a dark brown kind of tone to it. People kind of like to eat with their eyes first, so they want bright colors, like the nice yellows. They want like a white rice, but I turn fesenjoon into something really beautiful, and I do it with a duck confit, which is kind of like a fried duck thigh, and with fresh pomegranate, which is that's one of my favorite dishes to make, and that's one of the courses that I offer at the Caviar and Ganja Supper Club, especially when it's finished off with a little bit of cannabis. But
Love it, love it. That's the
but
only time that I will actually have fish injury, because I'm not a fan of it. But if it's gonna be topped off with some cannabis, I'm down
yes,
for it.
exactly.
Maybe I'll have
Now,
it beforehand.
yes, yes, yes.
And
So I'm a
what about?
vegetarian.
Uh-huh.
So I'm a vegetarian, so I don't eat. So when I do have fish, one of my favorite dishes is Noru style fish, which is just very nostalgic to me. You know, it's with the shivit polo, which I absolutely love. It's one of my favorites, and it's something I allow myself very small amounts per year, but that's my favorite to eat.
Beautiful.
Mhm.
Now this is the part where you're gonna have to be a little bit siyasat madar besh migan.
Oh.
And that is that, and I'm not even gonna put you on the spot by naming
No,
one.
please do me on the spot. Don't forget, I worked in news. You can't
All right,
possibly put me on the
that's
spot.
true. All right, well, listen. If you had to take your family or the most favorite people that you have to one Iranian restaurant on the planet.
Hold on, it broke out a little bit.
Oh,
Back.
oh, I'm sorry. I thought you were thinking. I was like, wow. I actually like I kind of made her think too hard. But I was saying, if you
No, no,
could
no,
take,
no. You lost. I lost reception. I lost reception
oh,
for a second. You got frozen.
I was asking in case you didn't hear my question. I was saying that if you had to take your loved ones to one
Mm-hmm.
Iranian restaurant on the planet, where are you taking them?
You know, I was so unbelievably impressed by a sofra in Brooklyn in New York because number one, I went there. I remember it was either Monday or Tuesday, and they said we're booked for a month.
Wow,
So
good for
right
them.
away, I was like, Persian restaurant? I need reservation. I was like, what is happening here in Brooklyn, out of all
That's
places?
that's
You know, I
amazing.
grew up in Queens, so Brooklyn was never, when back in the day when I lived in Queens, Brooklyn and Queens were never big foodie. They are now big foodie cities. But I was right away, I was like, I need to get in. I need to get in this restaurant. And once I actually ate at Sofra in Brooklyn, it is such, and when I say you know, people eat with their eyes first, I was so aesthetically wise, so impressed by the restaurant because it was nothing like we've seen with Persian restaurant, which was all beautifully too, but it was something very different. It was very modern. They had, you know, their menus were made calligraphy. The bathrooms was filled with Persian old newspapers and Gugush music.
Hmm.
And I was just so taken back by the beauty of this restaurant. And then I remember sitting down, I looked around, there was not one Iranian sitting in the restaurant, which I absolutely loved. And I tell you why, because that meant non-Iranians were being opened up to our culture and food. And that made me so happy that so many people are so interested and curious and love Persian food. And then once I got the food, it was exactly what I loved. It was very beautifully done Persian cuisine. I mean, everything was like an art form. And the bari bread was kind of this big. It was kind of a hand size. The food was done beautifully. Everything tasted spectacular. And I remember I had just gone when it had recently opened, and I spoke with the chef Nassim, and I knew right away. I was like, I kept telling to myself, I know this restaurant is going to go places. I just felt it. And a few years later, for people that don't know, she was asked to do one of the dishes at the Met
Wow,
event in New York, which is one of the biggest New York
of
charity events where
course,
the top celebrities in the world go, like the creme de la
of
creme.
course.
And she made one of the dishes there. I mean, that's how she took off. And I knew it right away. My heart just said, you know what? I know this restaurant is just going to go places. And that's by far my favorite restaurant for anybody traveling around New York, live in the area. I would highly, highly recommend it because the food not only is just unbelievably delicious and fresh, it's beautiful. So you basically eat with all your senses, which is, you know, your eyesight, because it's so beautiful. The food is beautiful, the restaurant's beautiful, and the food is just phenomenal. So that's what Highly, highly recommend.
And that's not New York bias, right? I mean, you
No, that is not New York bias, because if anything, I'm from Queens, so I would never give props to Brooklyn.
That's great. Well, I love it. Good for Chef Nassim. I actually would love for you to connect me with her. I
Absolutely.
would
I
love.
would love that. She would
I
be a
th-
phenomenal person
yeah,
for
good
you
for
to
her.
showcase. Absolutely.
Good for her. I mean, this is amazing. So the last thing I wanted to kind of just pick your brain on is you probably noticed during the pandemic there was an influx of so many Iranian cooks and chefs and connoisseurs. Um, what did you think of all these individuals that were doing their own unique twist of Iranian
Mhm.
dishes? Like, was that something that was promising to you? Like, did you see like an
No,
evolution?
absolutely. I say, well, how come Persians don't have a Michelin star restaurant? I mean, when we think of Indian cuisine, it's just as much family focused, family style. They have plenty of Michelin star restaurants. How come there's no Persian Michelin star restaurant? And that's something we really, as a Persian chef, should really, really strive for. Because in terms of, you talk to any acclaimed world-renowned chef and you talk to them about Persian cuisine and they love Persian food. I've never met anybody that doesn't like Persian food. And and I loved how you saw all these people on social media everywhere, kind of, all becoming their own chefs in their kitchen
Yeah.
and creating all these amazing dishes and really introducing Persian cuisine to so many people. And that's one of the good bright sides of the pandemic is that it made people kind of come out of their shell and do things because they were bored, or they kind of had to do something to fulfill this void that they had from not being around people. And a lot of people took to food, which was so amazing. And you saw that a lot of younger people doing these amazing dishes, giving them a twist. And now we have these, and from there, so many chefs were actually like created. We have Andy, who works at the Food Network, and he's the one, not at the Food Network, I'm sorry, Bon Appetit magazine. And one of the judges and Top Chef, she's Persian. So I mean, and she started as a guest, as one of the guest chefs, one of the guest judges. But now she's on Top Chef as a permanent, and she and
Slowly but
when
surely, we're going up.
yeah, exactly. We're really, really going up and up. And I love that anytime any of these Persian chefs are doing anything in food, even if it's not concentrated on Persian cuisine, any opportunity they get, they go ahead and they make sure they mention something about the Persian culture, about the Persian food. They give a Persian twist to it, which is so beautiful to see, because it's really time that Persian cuisine really excels to the next level and really goes mainstream in terms of getting all these accolades, getting all these recognitions that all these other cuisines do. So I for one, I am looking forward to Persian restaurants having their
I
Michelin star.
hope so. Actually didn't even think about the fact that there has not been a Persian restaurant,
Mm-mm.
but that makes complete sense. Not that doesn't make complete sense, but I have no doubt that it's around the
Right.
corner. But we should actually, I'll be remiss if we didn't give credit to Anthony Bourdain a few
Mm,
years ago, rest in peace. He
absolutely.
put us on the map, with such an
Mhm.
incredible episode that really made us Iranians proud and showed our people in the bright light
Yeah.
that we always thought that it should be lit. And I have no doubt that if there's anybody that is capable of um, having a five-star Michelin restaurant, it would be
Mm.
none other than you,
Oh.
Sayeh. And so I hope that if that's what your dream is, I have no doubt you can make it
Mhm.
happen.
Thank you.
But in the meantime, you're kicking ass in all these other unique elements of presenting not just Persian food, but all these other international foods and bringing people together in such a unique manner. And I cannot wait to go check out DC Cooking School. I can't wait to come
Yes,
check out the venue and just see all the amazing magic that you've created
definitely,
with your
definitely.
creativity.
Yes, thank you, Iman. You do such a beautiful job, and you know, really working hard to keep talking about the Persian community and our culture and what's happening in Iran. And I, for one, I know all of us, but I could just speak for myself. I'm so appreciative for everything that you do. You've just become such a wonderful voice of our community. And we are truly, truly honored to have you.
I appreciate
I swear I should make the roles reverse and kind of create my one only awesome person podcast just to feature you.
No, but I do hope that we get to see more of your shows and more conversations about you and the things that you love and the things that you're great with. I hope that you started series where you interview the most amazing Iranian chefs and cooks and all this stuff where you guys can speak your language.
Yes,
That would
and
be
that's
amazing.
something exactly what I would love to do, and kind of just take my news background, but showcase chefs, or showcase people that are doing amazing things with our
Yes.
food. Would be wonderful.
That would be, you would have a legion of fans.
Mm,
That is really something that there's a niche. You were starting
yeah,
off the episode talking about, if you're going to do journalism, do a niche. Everything that can highlight all the best that Iranians can offer, and obviously food
and there's
is at the
so
top
much.
of that list. It needs to be recognized. I'm going to do my part, but I don't speak the language like you do,
Mm.
and so you would do a much better
نه
job.
فارسی خیلی خوبه
Well, not the
ایمان.
actual language. Like I'm talking about, like no, like I didn't know about Julia Child's The Legend had
Oh
passed.
yeah, I heard that they
So
were Farsi. I'm like,
I know.
Farsi to be عالیه.
No, like the culinary language,
The
like
culinary language. Yes, yes.
yeah. Vali, listen, I'm extremely proud of you. Really just love seeing all this amazing flourishing that you're doing. And I cannot wait one day, very soon. We'll do a
Thank
special event
you.
platform where we're going to do one of these supper club kind of stuff. We're going to make it happen in Miami. So
Yes,
but
yes,
when you come
yes.
next month, we're going to huddle up. You're going to see platform,
I love
and
that.
we're going to create magic together.
Absolutely, I would love that.
خیلی خوش شما. مرسی
Thank
از
you.
وقتت.
God, you're the best,
قربونت.
Iman. Thank
I
you for
love you.
everything that you do.
قربونت. سلام
قربونت عزیزم.
برسون به
I
اونی که
will.
واین واسه
For
آورده،
my
سلام برسون.
wine.
به سلامتی شما، به امید آزادی.
Okay,
Ciao.
thank
Take care.
you. Thank
Bye bye.
you. Bye.
All right, so ladies and gentlemen, I hope you enjoy getting to know the one and only Sayeh Tavangar. Please be sure to follow her on social media, follow her on DC Cooking School, follow her her personal page, and that way you get into the world of culinary and all the amazing things that she does. I hope you enjoy getting to know this amazing friend of mine. Thank you all for joining. Friendly reminder again, September 26th, officially next Tuesday. Holy crap, it's right around the corner. The launch of Barefoot in the Garden. It's a series, monthly series that I'm so grateful that I get to launch alongside my sister. We're doing an event that basically brings together the South Florida, the Miami community of entrepreneurs, business owners, creatives, artists, so many awesome people coming together around good music, good drinks, good vibes, great entertainment, of course, exclusive entertainment, DJs and musicians. We're looking forward to it. Click the link in the bio, get your tickets. There's literally like less than 10, 15 tickets remaining. We're going to sell out for sure. And it's happening every month. If you can't make it September 26th, we got October 31st, we got November 28th, and then December, January, February, we got it all lined up already. Thank you all for joining. Much love. Go me,